beautiful.
They separate over time. Start putting the rest of the front axle together, starting with the plate, adapter plate, the axle carrier, and the steering arm. Alright, the last step for the cooling system is the water temperature sender. Alright, we're getting ready to put the axle pivot thing on. It goes here. More modifications to this front pin. Since this axle is kind of rare and I can't get parts for it easily, like these bushings are actually too small. You can see that bushing just kind of slides in there. So I got these from McMaster Car, but this one is too big on the outside, which I knew. My plan was to have it turned down on the lathe, but I don't have access to a lathe right now, so these are what's going on. And I have this washer here to keep the bushing from sliding out, and then that other bushing to act as a spacer to keep it from sliding in. Just like that. Now we can put it on the tractor. So now we need to get these hubs onto the spindles. I already put the bearing races in the hub. Here's the kit, comes with the 2 races, the outer part of the seal, the inner part of it's a labyrinth seal, a felt that goes on the outside of the labyrinth seal, and then the 2 bearings. Get some grease on one hand, and then just then you can see the grease coming up in between the rollers. Now we can put the seal on the spindle. I like to put some grease on the felt. I don't like to soak these in oil because you'll just have oil dripping out, and you don't really have to on these. Now it's important to pack the grooves in the labyrinth seal. And this is lithium grease, by the way. It's important to use lithium grease on wheel bearings. And put that large inner bearing on. More grease, and then outer bearing. Tighten it down, then spin it, and this works. There will be grease stuck in between the rollers and the race of the bearings. So when you spin it, it moves that grease out of the way. Then you should be able to tighten it down some more. Loosen it to where it spins freely and is lined up with the cotter pin hole. Now I put a little bit of the silicone on here. Don't feel like making a gasket right now. Here's almost all the parts laid out. I could have just thrown these together and this tie rod on this arm, but I remembered I had these bushings that I didn't installed, so I just drilled these out with a 3/4 drill bit and tapped in those bushings, and that'll tighten up the steering a little bit. Always cut the extra off the cotter pins. I think it looks better. Last thing for this front axle are these stabilizers that go from here to here. We're getting ready to do the final coat of paint on the chassis. Just putting on all the stuff that I want to get paint on, like the steering, the throttle. Put tape over all this stuff, or plastic over that stuff, and the alternator and the manifold.
Here we go again.
Got the final coat of paint on the M last night. I changed up the mix ratio, and I think it's a lot shinier and it covered a lot better than last time. I also changed the compressor setup, so instead of having the air dryer right out of the compressor, I have this 30-foot hose, then the dryer, and then this shorter hose. and I think the water is able to condense out of the air through this first hose and get trapped by the filter, whereas before some of the water didn't fully condense and it was able to make it through to the paint gun. Now we can get the tape off and roll the tractor outside and get the tires on. Axle shafts should always be unpainted. John Deere, Farmall, whatever. Always tape them.
Nice.
Alright, let's get these tires on. We've done quite a few rear tractor tires. This is our first time doing brand new ones though. Actually no, we did. Except for the John Deere H. That one came with new tires from like 2001. They were just new old stock. The brand new tires on. Probably the first time since this tractor was new that it's had new tires. And now just double check. We have Spark. I checked that. We do have spark. We have compression. I cleaned the carburetor, so we should have fuel. Definitely gonna have air, and fingers crossed that we have timing. I have this temporary tank here. Let's turn it on. Hopefully we don't have any leaks. Distributor off 180, not 180 degrees. What's half of 180? It was off one cylinder, and now it's running. Just put the headlights on, and I run 2 wires to them, one for power and one for ground, and I just have the ground running straight to the battery, because otherwise you're going to struggle trying to get continuity through all these connections to here. So low beams, high beam, low, high. We're not doing any more paint, so I could put the serial number tag back on. Alright, I've probably put about a gallon of fuel through this. I just took it on a nice long drive up a very steep long hill in road gear the whole time. It didn't go perfect. The engine pings a little bit. It needs a higher octane fuel, but I mean, it runs good when it's not under like full load. Now that it's heated up and cooled down a couple times, I'm going to retorque the head bolts and reset the valves. And this is why I put grease on one side of the valve cover gasket and silicone on the other side. Just comes right off when you use the grease. These get torqued to 110 foot-pounds, so I'll do 100 first and then 110 because they should be tight enough now. Yeah, these are tight. Let's just test. We'll just go straight to 110. Yeah. These ones are a little loose here by the manifold. Alright, we got 17,000th feeler gauge. Let's just check these valves. I think we're just going to want to tighten them up a little bit. Alright, I'm going to do the last two cylinders and then we can throw the valve cover on. Copper washers, then loom clamps. This is how there were loom clamps here from the factory. And you don't have to go crazy with these valve cover bolts, nuts, because you'll start to deform the valve cover.
How do you want these?
These in four. I like the fenders though. I mean, they're a little bit small, but that's how they're supposed to look. You can see I already have some wheelie bar mock-up going on there. Time for my favorite part of every tractor restoration, applying the decals. So it's important to make sure you get them in the right spot. So test fit it with the backing on. Be careful when you're doing this. Sometimes the sticker doesn't want to come onto the backing. This backing sucks. It's the satisfying part. First good look at it in the daylight. That's all for this restoration. I think it turned out well, so stay tuned and look out for some videos this summer, bringing it to some tractor pulls and also to some other fairs. I mentioned in the previous video that I had entered this tractor in the Chevron Tractor Restoration Competition, and I ended up being selected as one of the 12 finalists. So I went to Indianapolis and presented in front of judges, and I ended up winning Grand Champion, which is super cool. It was really fun to go out to Indy, and as you probably expect, the Grand Champion wins some money, so that is also pretty nice. All the other entrants did really good jobs on their tractors, especially the Dubisky FFA team with their John Deere 630 LP, and Cade with his 70 LP. Those were some nice tractors. So thank you for watching. I'll hopefully be able to get some good content while I'm home for Thanksgiving, so stay tuned.